This morning, a return visit from a master of meat. Pat LaFrieda last appeared on this broadcast in 2014. Since then, he's further expanded his empire. Now he's out with a new book, Glorious Beef, a mix of personal stories, recipes, and the state of his ever-changing industry. To sample all of it, we visited his one-of-a-kind, brand-new building just outside New York City. How big is this?
It's 120 feet deep, 30 feet wide, 30 feet tall.
Inside Pat LaFrieda's new $20 million facility in New Jersey is the Fort Knox of food, the world's largest dry aging room, where millions of dollars worth of meat, up to 15,000 primal cuts, sit for up to 260 days.
So it should lose about 15 to 20% of its water weight in the first 21 days, and then it starts to slow down.
As they lose weight, they concentrate flavor.
You'll see that the protein is starting to bevel in, but the bone won't recede, the fat won't recede.
Why is dry aging so important?
Dry aging is an art that adds so much richness and flavor to beef, but it has to be done correctly. You have a lot of fronts?
No one does dry aging like LaFrieda, who runs a family business that first got its start a century ago. In his new book, Glorious Beef, LaFrieda celebrates his family's legacy, but also gets personal, talking about his battle with stomach cancer in 2003, which he says led him to stop eating processed meat. He also talks about his service in the Army.
It shaped me in a way which no other experience can. I mean, to be that regimented, to learn how to live through and thrive through sleep deprivation was the first thing it taught.
You pulled an all-nighter last night.
I did.
And you do it all the time?
Yes.
Without sleeping?
No matter what happens, food must go out.
Since March 16th of 2020, like all meat production facilities, LaFrieda Meat Purveyors has been under a presidential mandate never to close.
Now, look at my staff. They're not under presidential mandate. They could have stayed home, but they didn't. I owe a lot of that to the Army. Team building, leadership, and communication. A butcher's knife always has a curved blade.
Despite the lack of sleep, LaFrieda was still game to give us a brief butchering demonstration, making one of his favorites, skirt steak pinwheels. Once we got the meat trimmed and seasoned, it was time to tie it up.
The reason that we tie meat is so that the density is as symmetrical as possible, because when it's not, it will not cook evenly. So I'm going to do a butcher's knot real slow, and you follow along with me, okay?
Okay.
All right. See how I'm holding it?
Yeah.
Now I'm taking this end.
Yeah.
I'm going right over my thumb.
Okay.
Under.
How the hell do you do that?
We're going to do it again. You know what's funny? The slower you do it, the harder it is.
I feel like I'm teaching my son how to tie his shoes.
I want you to
and
hold on
he's yelling
to,
at
I
me.
want you to hold on to it.
Only I'm yelling at you now.
You're almost there.
All you need to know is that I got there eventually.
That's it. That's it. You got it. You got it. Look at that. Perfect.
Kind of. You do it. You do it.
I'm going to do it.
You do it. You do it. You do it. The next step was to split the wheel right down the middle. That looks great.
Yours is going to look just as good. I want you to split yours. Beautiful. Split it right in half.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it is beautiful. LaFrieda finished up the pinwheels in a makeshift kitchen on the back of his truck in the alley behind his building. He says the secret here is to cook from the top down, not the bottom up. There's the tailgate barbecue, and then there's the back alley barbecue.
Yes. That's the way we do it in North Bergen. Are you ready to taste?
I am ready.
Your creation?
I am ready. Our personal creation. Butchered, cooked, and eaten by us. Cheers.
Great job.
Oh, nothing better. Glorious Beef, however, is more than a collection of recipes and personal stories.
What always bothered me was the misinformation about meat. I wanted to go back to a time where I remembered beef was glorious, and that's where we get the title of the book, Glorious Beef.
LaFrieda uses the book to push back against trends he believes aren't always smart, like exclusively grass-fed beef, which he says costs too much and simply doesn't taste as good.
I'm not against grass-fed, it's just you'll never get that same sweetness that only comes from finishing off on grain.
It's a part of the ongoing organic versus all-natural debate, one highly regulated, the other not.
Neither animals are raised with growth hormones or antibiotics. Organic is one step further where the lands have to be certified organic.
You're not a fan of organic?
I'm a fan of organic. I can't justify the costs. Organic is probably about 20 to 30% higher in cost than all natural.
Prices fluctuate, labels and production standards evolve, but one thing stays the same. Good beef is good beef. And for LaFrieda, that's been a lifetime labor of love.
You haven't met too many wealthy butchers. It's hard work. And one of the reasons that my dad never wanted me in this business is because he didn't want me to have to work overnight. He didn't want me to have to work in the cold. But it's in the blood.
What about your kids?
I don't want them to suffer through this either.
Do they want to?
They talk about it. I mean, I think my daughter at 11 is more of a fighter than my son. He's more of a lover at 17. But she reminds me a lot of my aunt, who was my dad's partner. And it takes a strong personality to make it in this industry.
Do you ever see yourself not doing this?
I've never seen myself not doing this.
And courtesy of Pat LaFrieda, who dropped these off this morning after cooking
Did
them
he really?
overnight.
Oh my God.
We have it personally for you guys engraved
Look at that.
Amazing.
tomahawk steaks that are each about 2 feet long. I mean, we had people taking pictures during the entire break.
My son is eyeballing this like right now. He's like, Mom, get down to Philly with that.
Well, it's free. You can throw it back on the grill when you get home. I'm going to eat some of
I'm
this
not
for
going
you.
to share any with one Sean
But,
Grandy or Jack Grandy, even though I took their last name for this one.
I mean, it tastes amazing too, but this smells so good. I just love that Pat is constantly reinvesting in the business.
Yeah.
Like any money he makes, he just throws back in
Wow.
to get better at what he does. Anyway.
I will take a bite in a moment.
Thank you, Pat, for dropping it.
Yeah, I will take a bite in a moment, I promise.